You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 114, featuring Dallas, Texas-based car guy, Russ Payne. This is your podcast. Together, it's all about car community, car culture.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today we head to Northeast Texas to the massive state-of-the-art 40x50 garage of Russ Payne. Recently completed, Russ's massive garage is a personal tribute to his late father and the many years they spent working on cars together as father and son. The new standalone facility is beyond just an impressive man cave. It's a fully equipped professional garage. When not working in the IT world, Russ is wrenching, modifying, and tuning a variety of vehicles in the stable, spanning the gamut from a Fox body Mustang to a 2014 Mercedes GLK 350 4MATIC. It's time to head to Dallas and hang out with a true gearhead and go fast car guy. So, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Tubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. And in a few minutes, we're going to be chatting it up with Go Fast fan and friend of the CFC network, Russ Payne. Russ has a cool and quite eclectic collection of vehicles in his massive 2,000-foot man cave garage. And those four-tire fun makers include the likes of a 1991 Fox body Mustang. It's been a project car since 1998. A manual transmission 2002 Golf diesel. A 2003 Chevy Silverado, which has been recently modified for all kinds of street fun. A 2005 BMW M3 E46, and a 2014 Mercedes-Benz GLK 350 4MATIC. Did you know you can help to improve your podcast through your valued, welcomed feedback to us here at carsofcarlisle@outlook.com? I personally read every single email that comes in, and another way you can help support your favorite automotive podcast is through PayPal. And that is just by making donations. It helps us build out the content, do more traveling, getting to more events, and to bring more engaging and fun automotive content to you. So take that opportunity when you get a chance, even right now while you're listening to the show, to help your favorite automotive podcast and help us grow for you. Simply go to paypal.me/Cars of Carlisle, and you can even find the link on our website, carsofcarlisle.com. So, before we head out to the Lone Star State to hang out with Russ Payne, let's tackle this week's trivia question, which focuses on a famous Texan everyone knows about. And that is this: what is the name of the late automotive legend who had an incredible impact on the American car industry? Born in Leesburg, Texas on January 11th, 1923, this gentleman was also a flight instructor during the Second World War at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. That answer awaits at the end of this episode, so let's go get our speed on and hang with Russ just outside of Dallas, Texas. Hello, Cubers. This is Darren, and I am talking with friend and fellow car nut, Russ Payne. Russ is dialed in here on a Saturday morning talking to you. Russ, you're in the Dallas, Texas area. Thanks for getting up a little earlier than normal, or at least it's doing this at the start of your Saturday, so thanks, man, for that.
You're more than welcome, Darren. It's been a beautiful day out here, starting off with great rain on a beautiful Saturday.
Yeah, that's not exactly Texas weather, but I don't know. I guess if nothing else, it makes their roadways a little slick, but and a nuisance. I'm guessing that are you in the big garage right now?
Yeah, I'm just sitting out here, got the TV on, and just kind of kicking back and relaxing this morning.
All right. Well, I want the listeners to hear all about the amazing garage you've built. Just to talk a little bit about the fact that you have eclectic tastes and have all kinds of vehicles in your stable, if you will. You've got a 2005 M3, an 03 Silverado with long tube headers, and some work you've been doing on it. In fact, some things coming up this week. You've got the 02 Golf diesel, and then a 91 Mustang that you've been tinkering around with probably since the 90s. Which car do you want to take on first? or talk about first?
We'll take on the current project that's going on the lift this week. It's a 2003 Chevy Silverado with about 167,000 miles on it. Bought the truck last year. Wanted to have a play truck and go from there, and then started acquiring parts. Hadn't had the shop built yet. Was going to do it over to friends, and we kind of got tied up in stuff. He was working on other projects, so I've just been acquiring parts since last year. And then I started going a little further and deep, and then finally said, you know what, we're going to do heads, cam, lifters, going to do the whole top end and the front side of the motor, and then just been doing little things here and there. It's a small project, but big project. Its ultimate goal will be a 6-liter or 6.2 408 that I have sitting on the stand, just completely bare right now. And that 5.3, then it'll sooner or later come out and go into the Mustang. I'll be doing an LSX swap. So it's a small project, but I should have it done over the next week or so, and then I've got about a month worth of tuning on it.
Wow. Now the Silverado, will this see any off-road, or is this just going to be just a really cool, badass street truck?
Basically, it's going to be a street truck. I had a 2000 GMC back when my son was born that I sold and got a family car, and I picked this truck up last year to replace something since he's turning 16 this next year. I'm getting the golf ready for him, teaching him to drive a standard since it's a lost art. Mm-hmm. And I wanted my truck back that I've had, so that I was missing from 15 years ago. So from there.
Will hill toe shifting be part of the lesson plan and the rubric for your son?
Yes, but in the diesel, it's not really needed as much. Just teaching him to feather the clutch without using the gas pedal in the diesel will be the first thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, good. Now, when the Mustang gets the new power plant, what's your long-term vision for that for the pony car?
That one right there may end up going on a trailer at the end of the day. The project was started in '98. I bought it from the original owner that had it for years. It started off as a 4-cylinder, and I started putting stuff together. Me and my dad did. The ultimate goal was to work on it with him, but due to his passing last year, this was basically a project that's been kind of passing it down to my son and going from there. So
yeah, and I'm sorry about that.
So it'll be that, and no, it's fine. It's cancer kills a lot of people, so it's a project in the works, and it's something that needs to be done. And the ultimate goal will be probably that 5.3 with a lower compression and probably boost on it. It's already got a 49-inch underneath it. It's already got full tubular suspension, coilovers. The interior needs to be pulled out, and I might tub it at the end of the day. So it's one of the vehicles that I'd like to see in the low nines, upper eights, quarter mile. So
wow, yeah. Then that's now you're getting into a real machine at that level. You're going sub 10.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now will you'll roll cage it? Of course.
I will roll cage it. Yep.
I guess you almost have to when you're getting into those ETs.
Yeah, the requirements of the track are what they are. I believe anything under a 10s or even under 11s, depending on the vehicle. There's only a handful of cars out there that can go down the track at those speeds without needing a roll cage that are certified to go down. So
yeah, for real. Have you spent much time? I mean, quarter miling, is that somewhere in your past, or have you been doing that in recent years, or wanting to kind of get into that whole new foray?
No, I ran quarter mile. I ran 8 mile. Back when growing up, we ran 8 mile a lot just because it was basically $20. Bring your vehicle, run it down the track, no big deal. We go out there and run and have fun. The fastest the Mustang's been is 780s and an 8, which was cooking right along with the setup that was on it. It's running right now. Last time it ran, it was running 12-to-1 compression and 150 shotted knots on it. So it was nothing to scoff at what's in it right now either, but it's basically not capable of hitting those numbers. The drivetrain's got reinforcement that can handle it. Just it needs to have larger tires on it underneath in a bigger power plant.
Yeah. I understand. Okay. Well, let's shift into a little bit about the 05 M3, and I know this has been a very fun purchase, and you and your wife have had a lot of great, memorable road trips in that car. It was 2 summers ago, right, that you picked that up?
Yeah, 2 years ago. I actually acquired that after talking with friends during a meeting, and I happened to be on the airplane flying back from DC, and I found it online in Austin, and it was a car that was always residing in Texas, which is a big deal for the no salt underneath and no damages. Mm-hmm. It had 67,000 miles on it 2 years ago, and I picked it up for a steal at 11.5. And
yeah, that is great.
It was one of the vehicles. I sold my Evo whenever I picked up some other things, and it was a vehicle that me and my wife talked about, that she wanted a convertible. I didn't really care. Hardtop or convertible to me didn't matter. We both agreed it needed to have a 6-speed. And we were like, okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for an M3 just so we have some fun. And I wanted a naturally aspirated because I just wanted to hear the sewing machine at 8,000 RPM.
Yeah, exactly.
So there were a couple road trips that we did, and I've done a couple mods to it. I can't leave well enough alone. The car comes from the factory nice, but it needs to have tender loving care and some maintenance. I did an electric fan upgrade. I did an oil cooler upgrade from CSF and the radiator upgrade from CSF, and then I did a small tune on it and a little bit of exhaust work on the third section. But the short throw shifter helped out quite a bit too. Me and the wife did a couple road trips down to Shreveport, going through Davy Crockett State Park with the car club, and then we did 2 of those trips down to Shreveport. One was through Davy Crockett, and the other one through East Texas. One through the other state parks. It's about a 4.5-5 hour road trip when it's only about 2 hours to Shreveport from where I live. So we went through all the back roads. The car handles amazing. By all means, it's a driver's car. I'm not even going to. The only reason why I threw as much power out as I did, just by some bolt-ons, was mostly maintenance and the sound. But in general, it drives amazing, and it holds the corners and keeps up with even the most exotics that are out there. If you give me a bunch of corners with the exotics that have all the power, I'm basically on their tail the entire time. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Well, you told me before that you were hanging with some cars that probably are 5, 6, 7 times the price and having no trouble with it. In fact, just taking the turns flat, completely centered, and no surprises, and you didn't have any of those butt cheek clamping moments. Everything. I mean, she did exactly what you wanted when you wanted her to.
Exactly. Hitting the corners in that thing is so refined. I can't say you don't have to be a driver to drive it, because you really do. You need to know how to drive it. But it doesn't have those moments that you would have like in a Porsche 911 where you feel like you're in control of it and all of a sudden you lose it. Right. Where the tail end whips out around you. But the M3 is just a refined machine, especially for that year. The E46 models are it's just amazing machine. The only issue that I've had there was one road trip recently where we did, it was I escaped from Corona during this pandemic. We decided we wanted a road trip during the thing. Me and a friend of mine that I've known forever, we went out on this. There's like 9 of us out there, and we're all having fun. And the officers at the quick trip basically came up and started gawking at the cars and admiring everybody's vehicles and telling us to stay safe, but they were leaving us alone. So we went out running, and we had no problems. There's things that I would say to avid people who take road trips like this and kind of mild or high speed. The back roads we were doing clips of 3-digit numbers and setting cruise control at those times because there's nobody out on the road. It was a beautiful time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you get into the city atmospheres where we're cruising around at normal speeds and we're trying to pass people, some people have no respect for high-end exotics and no respect for anybody out on the road, and they will actually. I had one guy actually sling his trailer at me as I was trying to pass him and put me over on the side of the road.
Whoa! Just completely intentional.
Yes,
wow!
He had a skid steer on the back of it, and he intentionally slung the trailer because he had all of us passing him, and he was pissed off because he was being passed.
Wow.
So that happened recently. So yeah, it's not people just need to respect the road a little bit, and we as drivers we're safe. We have radios in the vehicles when we're running these speeds, and I wouldn't do this without the car club because we're outfitted with CV radios, long range, and we built up, and then we have a trailing car, a forward car, and we're telling people, hey, it's not clear to pass, it's not clear to pass. Mm-hmm. So if you're just out there driving and having a good time by yourself, it's one thing. Be very cautious. We're very cautious when we're running at those speeds because we don't need any fatalities or any accidents that we shouldn't have. We also do inspections of vehicles before we ever go out on these. Tires are a must. Your tires aren't within 50% at least. We don't want you on the rallies. Yeah. It's not nice. It's not safe, and that's what we're about. We're just out to have fun and be safe.
Yep, makes sense. Now I hear you. Wow. Yeah, sorry. It's unbelievable that, I know we've all encountered some road rage and others that are, but the fact of trying to swing that kind of tonnage around, that really is upsetting.
Oh, yes.
Well, once the pandemic starts to lighten up, has the car club decided to do anything else? I know you said escape from Corona, but anything maybe in the latter half of 2020 that may hit the books for you guys?
Every year we do basically a fundraiser for the North Texas Food Bank, and it's a poker run that we do every year. I think this will be either ninth year or 10th year this year, where we have close to 100 to 150 guys and ladies that come out that we run an all day or at least a half a day poker run, and we have good rallies and prizes and good fundraiser for this. So that'll be coming up probably in September-October timeframe.
Okay.
There's other rallies going on that I'm not able to make. I'd like to. There's a rally that got pushed to I think June. It was supposed to be in May, but it's been pushed to June. It's out in Vegas, a little higher end. But I was going to go on that one, but couldn't make it. I've got a lot of funds wrapped up in the shop and things like that too. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep the low profile as much as possible, since I have some high profile items that I've acquired over the last couple days and months.
Yes, you have. I've seen a couple of those pictures too. Some fun toys. Which I think you segued pretty ideally right now to the Taj Mahal, if you will, the Garage Mahal. Talk a little bit about the 40 by 50 beauty that you are actually talking to us from right now, and how it all came to be from concept to the amazing space you're in right now.
It came about whenever I was building my first house. I'll go back to that point. When I was building my first house out in Grand Prairie, I initially told my dad that I wanted to epoxy the garage floor. He was in construction, and I worked construction with him for years. So it's avid to actually do your own work as much as you can. And if you can pay someone to do some of it, do it, great. If not, do it yourself. It takes a little more pleasure. But when we did the epoxy floor in my first house, I worked out in the garage a lot, and I really enjoyed it. But when I moved and kind of had a bump in my life at early age with my first wife, and I decided whenever I finally recovered and kind of built my life with my kids and my current wife and went through the whole deal. I haven't had a physical garage that I could call where I could park my vehicles and work on them, except in a driveway on gravel for 15 to 16 years. My dad was pushing me to get a garage, and he wasn't ever aspecting this side, but when we were talking, and I've been working on this for 10 to 12 years, thinking about what I wanted to do once the kids were older, and I knew where stuff in my life was going, and the shit or get off the pot moment happened back in November. There were projects that I put on standstill because I wanted to do those with my father. But the time had come where I just needed to actually do something that made me happy, in a sense that I could focus all my efforts on stuff. Let me get into an area real quick. Sorry about this. There's a rainstorm going on. You probably hear it in the background. I'm going to jump into the truck and roll the windows up while I'm in the garage today. So it's at least I can sound deaden it a little bit more. I can pop this up. There we go. Okay.
Taking measures in the hands. Very good.
To being able to jump in your vehicle inside the garage, roll the windows up, and have some more insulation on, insulate yourself from the sound of high-end rain. But that was a turning moment. Some of the stuff my dad taught me through the years, twisting wrenches and things like that, hand lapping valves on a Chevrolet whenever you're 10. Basically, you knew what you wanted to do. You just didn't want to do it for a living. It was a hobby. It was something I enjoyed. So I decided to go, okay, how much space do I want? And whenever I selected how much space I wanted, I thought, okay, I'm going to do a 30 by 40. And then I thought, started looking at the stuff that I had, looking at the stuff that I acquired, the vehicles I already had, and I went, 40 by 50, that's an extra 800 square feet. It's not that much more to do, and you do it once, forget about it. If I need to add a lean tube on the backside, I can add a lean tube on the backside and enclose it and kind of park vehicles behind the building if I want to. So 40 by 50 was the choice. I made that choice back in May or June last year, just as a fixture number. And then I thought, how high? You're sitting there. How tall do you want the walls to be? Because then you start thinking, well, you want to put a lift in it, so you want to make sure you have enough room for that. And then the minimum you could do is 10 foot outside walls. And I'm going, this felt claustrophobic. So the outside walls are actually 12 foot, and the center's about 13 and a half.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
So it's got about a 1 degree pitch. And then we're like, okay. So the thought was in the head, this is what we want to do. And then we started pricing out. And I kind of laissez-faire the pricing out until about May last year. And then I started poking around at numbers. Well, after November, I was like, okay, I need some focus. I'm going to need room to move my dad's tools. I'm going to need room to move my vehicles. I need to get back to stuff that for myself, and kind of have back to center. What's more important? Is working 24/7 or working 60-hour work weeks the most important thing, or do you need to actually have a spot where you can go out and sit and work and enjoy what you do? So after November, I talked with a contractor about the building. He gave me some numbers, rough estimate numbers, which were very reasonable. Everybody I've talked to about the numbers have been reasonable. I live in an area. I'm living on an acre of land. I live in the county that requires no building permits, which is a big deal. Big deal here. No studies, no nothing, no permits for electrical to the building. it makes things a little more reasonable, and things can go up a lot quicker. But we started in January. Well, I signed the paperwork in January just for the loan on the building, and we started the project January 15ish. Then the tsunami in Dallas and the whole state of Texas got hit with so much rain that it pushed the project. It just kept pushing the project and pushing the project.
Right.
I got when I signed the paperwork in January 15th. They were going to start on it the next weekend, start putting forms up, start pouring concrete the following week, and then we just never had a dry day. It was almost every day there was rain on the ground, nothing where you can prep. February came along, it's become a little drier. They were able to pour. The concrete was finished by February 25th. And then rain hit again. And they didn't physically start building on it until end of March. That's how they waited almost an entire month to build on the concrete, because that's how much rain there was. They couldn't even get out here to bring in the beams and everything else.
Right, and probably mud everywhere.
Oh, it was a nightmare. Whatever could happen was going to happen. It was going to push this project. Now, on a saving grace side of this, and there's the glass half empty and glass half full attitude on this one. The benefit on the whole deal was I didn't know when it was going to start, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and then we're told to stay at home. We can work from home. I'm going, okay, I'm working from home. I got to be here from start to finish of the project and watch the building go up, watch the contractors, what they did, and got to get ideas while I worked on majority of my work from the house. There was a couple days where I popped into the office to grab things, but for the most part, I did all my work from the house since we're capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. And I was able to watch, and it was a big benefit on a side note. So it benefited me that we got shut down in that sense, where I could actually work from the house. So I was happy about that, but it made me stir crazy working from the house all the time. Yeah. So, but they started mid-March. We had a bunch of windy days, so it got pushed. They turned the keys over of the bare building to me on April 7th. I took that position. We started in January. By April 7th. Some people would say, oh, that's fast. Now, every other place in the country, oh, that's amazingly fast. Well, they have to deal with permits. They could have built the building up, put the concrete down, and had it done in less than 45 days, right, starting in January. So, but from there, it was like, now it's as they're building, you're starting to get ideas as where you're going to put things and what you want to use and things like that. And I decided to insulate the building. We did spray foam insulation, 1-inch closed cell, which is, during these last couple days, it got to 95 degrees here in Dallas all of a sudden, and it dropped to, I think it's 55 to 60 right now. But it dropped in temp because the storm just blew in. But at 95 degrees, a couple of days, and I was out in the shop, had the doors open. I have a big 10x10 on the front and an 8x7 on the rear. I had a little fan going, and it was mild temperatures in the shop.
Wow.
I could sit there and work with the foam insulation. But they did the foam. Then me and a friend of mine actually did all the electrical work. We trenched 40 feet to the house. Ran the main cable over to the building. I got a 100 amp service inside the shop, and then we've got close to 21 4-gang 4-outlet 20 amp plug boxes, 2 separate circuits running down the 4 walls.
Wow.
So yeah, we decided that the more outlets you can put into place, the better. You don't want to have to go run an extension cord. With every 8 to 10 feet, we have 2 gang boxes. So 4 outlets every 8 to 10 feet. So if you can't find an outlet in here, you're not looking. And then you always think, okay, you can never have you need light. And then we decided we're going to do LED. It's 6 high bay LED lights. I went with the high bays, one because they're nice and they illuminate really well, and they were cheap.
Exactly. And efficient to maintain too.
Amazed. Do what?
And efficient. The fact that you could have those lights on for a good 14-hour Saturday workday, and you're not going to watch your electric pegging out.
No, and that's the other thing. The lights in the shop. During the middle of the day, if it's sunny out, I can just turn on 2 of the 6 lights. We've put 3 switches up so we can do it. They're also dimmable if I really wanted to go that route. But we can turn 2 of the lights on, and we have enough light in the shop to actually work when the sun's out, because the sun's coming in through the doors. But overall, each fixture puts out close to 30,000 lumens.
Wow.
They're 225 watts per fixture, so they're efficient, but they're not non-wattage lights by any means. And the other thing that I'll add to it. 2 years ago, we added solar panels to the main house, and the solar panels basically during the middle of the day are just cranking energy back into the power grid. If I have the shop fully on, I have the TV on, I have everything on, the meter is still going backwards during the middle of the day if the sun's out. So it's not that big a deal to me right now. Yeah. So it's if I have to have all the lights on, I have to have all the lights on. Now, with everything going on, and I added with the compressor and everything else, I wanted to make sure that it was a shop that I could be out in and not worry about anything. So the end goal with everything is it's going to be climate controlled at some point in the future. I don't know if it's near or further, depending on where things land this year. And that was one of the main things. But I picked up a 80-gallon compressor. Yeah, you can never go too big. No. You don't know what you're going to ever run into. But I wanted to make sure that I was covered on that, and you never have too much shelving either. No. As a side note,
I just love how you did everything Uber. I think that's so fun. Like, and the sandblaster, you have it for when you need it.
Yep.
You may not need it next week,
I need it.
but it's there. It's over against the wall. You're ready. So I just think that's cool.
Well, if you can imagine doing something, and if you had the tools to do it, would you do it? So if you're taking apart a vehicle and you've got crap all over it, and you either going to do a parts wash, or you're going to sit out there with a wire wheel brush or whatever else and clean it, or you're going to drop it over in the bead blaster and knock it off real quick and just have a little bit of fun with the bead blaster. You would go over to the bead blaster because, well, it's a power tool and it's a whole lot more fun. Actually, it's less laborious too, and some of us rather do things smarter, not harder. And it's a fun process in general, and it comes back to stuff that makes your life easier in the shop, makes your life easier. That's the reason why we did the lift. Yeah. The lift was a main piece. It's one of the largest pieces of furniture in the shop. We went the 10,000 pound capable lift, 2-post lift, made by Challenger. Which, if people don't know, Challenger is actually not a newer company, but it's not as old as Benpack or those kind of companies. But Challenger is actually owned by Snap-on. It is a Snap-on brand. It is one of their brands for lifts.
I didn't know that.
Snap-on doesn't make lifts in general, but they own Challenger, which in turn makes it their product. It came in a Snap-on box when it was delivered.
Okay.
So, it's a good deal. It was rated one of the higher ones, and in reality, a 2-post lift that's ALI certified was the key. I wanted safety, no Trainesium lifts in my shop. I try to do as much American-made stuff as I can, if I can. There's stuff that you just can't get away from, and there's stuff that you just don't want to pay for because it's not going to fit the genre of what you're needing. So,
sure.
But other than that, no, we've already done we broke the lift and had a little fun on it. Anybody that has one or wants one knows that you're gonna step on the lift and ride the lift up, just standing on it, and have a little fun the first time you have it. We did that. Did that the first time we had it in the shop, but after the lift was put in, the floor had to be done, and that was another key piece for surviving. We did a nice 2-part epoxy floor. Makes things nice and clean, easy to wipe up spills. Mm-hmm. It just adds that next level of aesthetics and makes it uniform, and it kind of blends in with the blue and white speckle hot flake.
And we'll definitely put pictures out on Instagram when this goes live. I want everybody to see how amazing Russ's garage is. Did you keep essentially a project plan in your head, Russ, because obviously, like you're saying, the lift goes in, then come the floor. I mean, you have prerequisites, you had steps that had to come at or before certain other things. I mean, there's true project management to managing and being your own contractor for all this. How did you keep your arms around it?
I kept all of it in my head during the build phase of before the concrete was poured. Mm-hmm. I already had a place where I was putting the lift. I had a design in my head how far off the back wall I was wanting. When they poured the concrete, the areas where the lift is bolted down, the minimum thickness for this lift is 4 inches of concrete, and that's where it's 4,000 psi. 4 inches of concrete is what the pad is, except in the areas where the lift is at. The lift, I basically picked the lift out before the concrete was even poured, and told them, hey, these areas I want 12 to 18 inches thick concrete in these areas. So they built pad foots in that were, according to the spec, were almost 18 inches. So they're reinforced in the areas where the lift's at when they installed it, and that was a big key. If you don't know where the placement you're going to put your lift before you build your garage, there's a problem, because you don't know. You're pouring concrete going, well, it's 4 to 5 inches of concrete, no big deal. Well, if you're sitting underneath a vehicle at 7,000 pounds, do you really want to skimp on where that concrete was at?
No.
I don't.
No, indeed.
I know 4 inches will handle it, but more is better.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're right. You don't want to be thinking about that when you're underneath there and with no chance of rolling out, because if it fails, it fails.
Yep.
Wow. No, that's really cool. In fact, I think that's the theme that I've liked when we've been talking about your garage over the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, is the fact that if it'll get by with 70%, you've gone to 105%. I mean, that's what I like. That basically is, you've built a professional garage.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. You want it to be the garage. You want to be able to come out. You want to come out and enjoy it. Well, you have to add creature comforts. I have a nice 65-inch TV on the front wall. You have to have that,
of course,
for the games when they start back up. And I've got internet out here. Well, there's a reason for that. It's a metal building. When you shut the doors, we wouldn't be talking, because I'm using Wi-Fi calling, because I have no signal inside the building.
Well, the fact that you should probably talk a little. I mean, with the way that you have outfitted your own house, I have no doubt that the garage is the very best in everything.
Well, when we ran the conduit, we ran the 2.5-inch conduit for the electrical. I ran a separate 1-inch conduit for the internet connections. So I've got two 1 gig connections from the house that's connected to a switch inside the house, having network access out here. Well, I did that, and that's the segue to the outside. So on the outside of the building, I went ahead and put up a 4K security camera, one of the 4 that I'm going to put up. I started with one to make sure what I wanted to use. They're all PoE cameras that I'm going to be using, so they'll go to a nice Cisco switch that I picked up. My background is engineering for computer work, so this is easy for me to wire up in that sense. But the Wi-Fi in the shop is 802.11ax. A lot of devices don't support AX yet, but it's AX, and I get on Wi-Fi, I'm sitting about 350 to 450 down, and 50 meg up. To the internet, inside the house, hardwired, I've got a gig connection down and 50 meg up. So it's pulling good speeds. I don't have any problems.
there are many businesses that are envious of those numbers.
Well, I know, and that's the reason why I can work from home so easily, tie back into my office. But the other thing is the Wi-Fi access point that's out here is the Ubiquiti. And right now, since I don't have the switch hooked up yet, since I've got it sitting on the bench that's already configured, I have to get that mounted. And it was only going to be out here once I get the other cameras. I don't need it right now. The power is actually being provided from the switch in the house for those devices. So it's pushing power over Ethernet close to 125 feet to the camera and to the Wi-Fi access point out here from inside the house. It's recording on motion. I have a server inside the house that it records all the video to on motion, and I can retrieve at a later point.
Wow.
And it notifies push notifications to my phone. So I built out my security system. I built out other things. And, of course, the other creature comfort you always have to have is a refrigerator in the shop.
Well, of course.
So
I'm sure just to keep cans of V8 or something like that, right? Or just
yeah.
juice.
You've got your Gatorade Zero bottles in the center. You got your energy drinks at the top, and of course the bottom's got half beer and half liquor. So, you have to have some fun out here, and that was the main goal. We had me and my wife had a 12 by 20 Morgan building that sits within 10 feet of the shop. I had to move all my stuff out of there because we were basically sharing it for storage. She's taken that over, and I will probably be having to insulate that and pull power from the shop over to it so she can have at least 110 in there, because that will end up being her she shed.
I was just going to say, so what are the plans for her she shed? I mean, we can't lose sight of that. She have big hobbies she's going to do out there or something?
She does arts and crafts, and I would rather her be able to be out there and move all of her stuff out of the main house. So I don't trip over it and see it all the time. So it's kind of like organizing clutter. So it comes back to so she can go out there and do her arts and crafts, and then come back in and be with the family. Same with me with my vehicles and things like that, because all of the parts and everything I was acquiring was in my home office, and my home office was getting cluttered, and I couldn't get to my gaming station, which is a stand-up arcade system that I built 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Which was kind of frustrating to be around and be able to flip around to play on it whenever I got spare time. So
yeah. Now, will that stay in the house, or would that find its way out to the man cave?
No, that one will stay in the house. I like being able to get up from my computer area and go over and get away from work, and then walk over to the gaming station and play the old Galagas, Pac-Mans, Dig Dugs, and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Or Street Fighter, as a matter of fact, on that system. But it's basically, I have my laptop, I'm out in my shop. If I'm inside the truck doing some tuning or whatever else, I can actually push wirelessly to the 65-inch. I can move my charts and my graphs onto the monitor while doing stuff on my laptop separately.
Nice. Yeah, you have not overlooked any detail. I think that's what makes this such an amazing project. And the fact you have the brilliance and the aptitude to do all this work yourself. I mean, like you said, your background and what you do for a living and everything else plays right into it. So you've been able to make what I think is considered almost a dream garage. So that's amazing.
Well, the big pieces of this for people who have helped out. Like I said, my best friend Shane, he was very helpful in the sense that he does a lot of woodworking. He helped out build the tables and the shelves. He also helped with the electrical. He did some shade tree electrical with a licensed electrician for years. So I had some skill sets over the years of people that I've known. I've known him since 6th grade, so we're basically brothers.
Yeah, of course. No, and that's when you know somebody that long, you can trust them with just about anything. It's an amazing gift. That's great.
And we basically basically broke in the first vehicle on the lift the other day to work on, not to just play with, and make sure everything worked. But we actually used the shop a couple days ago to do a wheel bearing and brakes on the front of his Chevrolet truck. So we've already been put to use once.
That's perfect. And that's what you want. And I'm sure that anytime he needs that lift, that garage door will be open to your buddy. So that's great.
He's got a key to it, so he's got full reign.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And brothers deserve that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, I got to tell you, I will definitely be sharing the photos of what you have done and where things stand. You have toys galore in there. You have all the accoutrement that you need. I could see why it's hard probably to go back in the house once in a while.
Yeah, you lose track of time out here on a regular basis.
Sure.
You turn the lights on out here, and if you have the doors open or closed, and you'll see a light coming through the back door if you look over at it. But if you have the doors closed and you're working in here, it's almost like staying in Vegas on the casino floor. Yeah. You don't know if it's day or night.
Exactly. And that's sort of the intent. You don't know day or night, up or down. It's kind of hard to figure that out.
Right.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to give you the final mile behind the wheel. Anything you want to close with or shout out? Like you said, you gave special thanks to your best friend and everything, but anything that you want to close this episode with, I'm going to give you the wheel.
Basically, if you decide to do this early in life. I turn 42 next week, and if I could have done this 5 years earlier, I would have. If you have the capabilities of doing it early in life and you enjoy it even longer, I would suggest it. Don't wait until you're 50 or 60 to build your dream shop. Just build it and enjoy your life. Yeah.
And I think based on losing your dad last year and some other things, we aren't guaranteed anything. So
exactly,
you can put so many things off for so long, but it may not ever come. So that's a good philosophy. Well, Russ, thank you so much for spend some time with us from Dallas today. Hopefully that rain will abate and you'll get out there and get to have a little bit of fun. But thank you so much for being part of the show. Thanks for being a fan. I know you've been following the podcast for a long time, and thanks for representing Texas on behalf of everybody out there. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon. We are back to Studio A. A Texas-sized thank you to my buddy Russ for sharing his car stories with all of us. I hope in the future, if I get a chance to run the Z06 cross-country and I'm coming back across the southwestern states of the U.S. to have a run along with Russ and his car club and just hang with those guys with the vet. Now, it's time for that trivia answer that I owe you all, and that is this. The question, just restated, was who is a late Texas-born automotive legend who had an enormous impact on the American car industry? He passed away and went to the Great Raceway in the Sky at the age of 89. Answer is Carroll Shelby. At the time of Shelby's passing in June of 2012, he was allegedly working on an experimental engine. So as you can imagine, even right up to the end, he was giving back and making massive contributions to our hobby and our industry. So as one of my personal heroes, may his legend live on with all of us. All right, everyone, we are now at the end of this week's road trip. And my friends, as always, I sincerely value all the folks at Carlisle Events as they continue to host the car shows, auctions, and swap meets at America's automotive hometown of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And I'd like to send a special shout out to the entire team at Porsche Mechanicsburg. Congratulations to them for a banner sales month and wish them continued success. Well, we can't wait to have you come back to join us next week. Just remember, this is your podcast, and we want to hear your voice. Email us at carsofcarlisle@outlook.com. Though we might be behind the wheel, this is all about you and for you. We can't wait to have you come back and join us again next week. Just remember, this is your podcast. Even though we sit behind the wheel, it is yours. We want to hear your voice. Email us at carsofcarlisle@outlook.com, and we take all feedback very seriously and try to make this a better podcast week over week, each and every month. Because together it is truly all about car community and car culture. So for now, I'll say drive well, be well, take care.